Hi, I'm Ashlyn, and I am here today with Rowan Price. I'm Ashlyn, my roadie, and I'm here with Esme Walker.
I think I started having a lot of issues 7th grade, mainly of not being able to get up and do anything, especially if I didn't have anything that day, and it'd be I literal simple tasks I wasn't able to do. And of course, suicidal thoughts, I was having those in 7th grade mainly, and it was this probably is depression, and I started thinking it might be, but yeah, those were the main tells.
I was diagnosed at the age of 5. I didn't realize it. I don't remember anything from before 2nd grade. So,
Okay.
as long as I can remember, I've had depression.
It's really easy, at least from where I go, because at my doctor, my pediatrician always hands me a sheet that you fill out, and it's how many times have you been feeling down or depressed, how many times have you felt like nobody cares about you in the past month, and you rate it on a scale of pretty frequently, not frequently, sometimes. And I filled that out once again in 7th grade. Nothing happened because it was kind of just a depressing time for everybody. That was COVID year. And then I filled it out recently with at my most recent checkup, and I had actual conversation with my pediatrician saying, hey, could I get medicated? Because I had at that point tried everything else and it was basically there's nothing else to do other than medications at this point. So I didn't want to get medicated at first. For the longest time it's been this, I don't need medication, there's no way, and it's probably at this point I do, but I really thought I could move past my depression without medication. And right now I'm just now trying my lowest dose on one med, and right now it's not working out, so it's going to be really a process of which of these is working, which of these is really hurting, is any of these going to work, and yeah, so.
Basically, my parents realized that I was messed up and tried to bring me to a therapist because my dad was also in therapy. And when that didn't work, they brought me to a psychiatrist who prescribed me medicine. And the first go around, that didn't work out so hot, and then they sent me to a children's group, and then they put me on different medication, and that actually worked.
How many different medications were you on?
4 total, including the one I'm on now. I was on one the first year, and then I was on one for a decade, and then I was on another one that made me way more depressed, and so I got off of that one, and now I'm on Lexapro. So
Really the biggest thing that depression does for me is it makes simple tasks really hard to do. Once I'm in my bed at any point in the day, it's really hard to be okay, I need to go do this, or I need to do this really important thing. Schoolwork is an absolute monster to do, and that's probably normal for everybody, but I have no motivation to do any of it no matter what, and it's really especially if I'm at home, I can't do any of it. I have to be at a school setting. Basic hygiene, specifically in 7th grade, I'd go a very long time without brushing my teeth or showering or even getting food. There was no motivation to do anything but sit in my bed and rot away. And that was really big, and that was the main reason I wanted to get meds, because it sucked. That was an awful way to live. And then relationships. I have a big tendency to isolate myself when I'm feeling depressed, so I would not talk to people. I have no interest in talking to people at any of those moments, and it really be, if nobody's reaching out to me, I'm not going to reach out to anybody else. So maintaining relationships was really hard.
I mean, it affects my motivation and my ability to commit myself to schoolwork and stuff, but it's more of the anxiety disorder that fucks up my relationships. I didn't have friends until 4th grade. because I couldn't talk to people. And then when I did make friends, half of them weren't good people. And I was too afraid to tell them that too. So I just kind of ran away as soon as I could. But yeah, it's mostly the anxiety issues.
I feel like there's this big stigma that like depressed people are like just sad all of the time and can't really do anything else but be sad. And I think that really affected me because like I wasn't sad all the time, which sucked because I was like, okay, well, I'm not sad all of the time, so there's no way I have depression. Like if I'm enjoying a time with my friends, depressed people can't enjoy a time with their friends, right? And then also, I don't know, depressed people, I feel like the media only notices them when they die. And I feel like that was my big thing of, well, I'm not constantly wanting to kill myself, so I must be fine, right? And it's like, well, no, depression comes with a million other things that also make your life awful, and yeah. Those were like the big things. And then also, depressed people are just lazy. That one always sucked because I was like, am I just lazy? Is that the reason I can't do a lot of things? Am I just lazy, or is this an actual thing that I need to go to a doctor for? It was mainly, it mainly made me just think that I didn't have depression, and it like was, everything was me trying to either prove that I didn't have depression or maybe I did, but like if anything good happened and I was like happy about it, it was of course then I can't have depression because I'm happy right now. And then I'd go home and it's like, well, then what's happening here? Like, yeah.
I mean, I come from a family that's very progressive. My father's been in therapy for almost his entire life, and my grandmother, who was his mother, was a special ed teacher for people with like mental disorders and stuff. So, like, I didn't have a whole bunch of stigmas.
I've touched on this a little bit, but like, I wish people understood that depression isn't just suicidal thoughts. I feel like when people think about depression, it's just this person wants to kill themselves, and it is that, like, there's a lot of it, but also, like, depression will affect people's relationships, it will affect people's hygiene, it will affect people's everything. It's not just, okay, I have depression and my main goal is to kill myself. It's, I have depression and it's gonna affect every part of my life no matter how hard I am, like, actually trying to live it. I just wish people, because that was always my biggest anxiety, and it helped me a little bit because it helped me actually get my stuff in check and do things when I was going in public, but like, people don't realize that having depression sometimes means that taking a shower or brushing your teeth is like a challenge. It's a whole like 30 minutes of I have to get out of bed, I need to get out of bed, why can't I get out of bed, and then looking at your phone for another 30 minutes, and then okay, I need to go downstairs and go and do all of the stuff, and some days that's like impossible.
I'm not lazy, I'm just unmotivated. It helps a lot when I take my meds, but it doesn't go away. So, like, I'm not gonna be completely normal, but I can try.
I have specifically a mental health app for this, but I use basically a checklist of things I need to do in the day, and I use a mental health app for that because it gives me a little bit of like, I completed a task joy, rather than, okay, you did a basic task, good job. And that really helped me because, once again, that's the part I struggled with a lot, is I can't do basic tasks. And then also with that, like, writing down what's bothering you, why you're feeling this way, those were big. And then also staying connected to people, because people with depression isolate themselves. I isolate myself, and one of the biggest things was joining clubs and having a connection to people, so I had either people to reach out for, or just people that like made me feel better type thing.
first and foremost, it's like my medication. And then I go to therapy, so I talk to her, like my therapist sometimes too. But otherwise, it's kind of just dealing with it. I have to convince myself to do a lot of things, like waking up and showering and eating. It's great. Life is great.
Checking in on people with depression, like if someone starts isolating themselves, that's one of the biggest signs that they might be considering suicide. Isolating themselves, not having interests, because yeah, I would isolate myself all the hell. Like I wouldn't text anybody. I didn't have interest in clubs, so I wouldn't go to any of them. I wouldn't talk to people in class. It was, yeah. And if I didn't have people who specifically reached out and talked to me, it would have been way worse. So biggest thing is just being there for people with depression and actually reaching out and saying, hey, you okay? Or just hanging out with them, honestly.
I mean, when I was younger, my parents had to make sure that I took my meds, that I, like, showered consistently, that I cared about the things that I was doing, and that I kept stuff clean. But other than that, they didn't, like, force me into doing anything, except for, like, making me join an activity because of, again, the anxiety disorder. Like, I wouldn't actively choose to go out and do something, and so they put me in Taekwondo. And then I learned how to cope with that, but, like, other than that, other than, like, just making sure that their basic needs are met and that they're not, like, completely miserable, just treat them like a human, man. Like, I've told people before that I have an anxiety disorder, and they're like, you poor baby. How difficult is that? Especially when I say it in the context of me playing instruments. Like, you poor child, you can't perform because you're too anxious. I can perform, it just takes me a long time.
Really, this sounds so cheesy, but like, keep going. My worst bit of my depression was in 7th grade, where I like very much contemplated suicide, and every day something good happens, I think about how happy I am that I kept going. And like, there's so many good things in the world, and depression makes you think that it's all pointless and there's nothing there for you and you don't deserve to be here, but like, there's so many things in the world for you to experience and for you to enjoy and you to be here for, that there's just so many reasons that you should keep going. And also find things that work for you, because the biggest way to help yourself is to realize what kind of treatments, coping mechanisms you need, because it's not going to just get better as much as we all wish it would. Depression is very much a I need to take charge action, because especially a lot of us don't have people that can just cure everything for us. It's a moment of I need to go get meds, or I need to figure out what helps me, I need to go to therapy, something along the lines. It's a take charge treatment thing.
I mean, there's the stereotypical, it's okay, but, it'll feel like it's not okay, and it'll feel like you don't have control over everything, and honestly, you don't need to have control over everything all the time. You just need to keep going, because it usually gets better after a while. Like, last year was rough, because I didn't take my meds half the time, because I was too busy with, as I was saying,
Sorry.
I was busy with schoolwork a bunch, and I would forget my meds, and so that led to a whole situation, and then this year it's a lot better. I can manage between like 3 different orchestra activities, school and work now, so that's better. Hopefully that doesn't all change next semester when I've got more difficult classes and pit, but we'll see.
Cool.
All you gotta really do is keep trying, because things will work out eventually, and like the more effort you put into something, the more results you're gonna see, And so if you don't put any effort in, you're not going to get anything back out, and you'll just dig yourself deeper into that hole. So.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time.